All right, so this video is going to cover some of the biggest and best teams going into the FNCS Grand Finals. And I'm going to look through how they qualified through the group stages, which is essentially the semifinals, if you do not know. And the first team we're going to start off with here is Sky, Scroll, and iDrop. Had to whip out the old spreadsheet. If you don't know how well they've placed this season, it is incredibly. They got together kind of after this first season, or the first two divisional cups here. I just put Sky Boy, not Sky. So this is what they've been playing with Refsguard before. The 6th and 16th when Sky and Scroll played Refsguard. Then they dropped him, I imagine, and picked up RIP. And picked up iDrop 4th, 7th, 1st. And then in the group stage, which is we're about to watch here, they ended up placing 4th. So unbelievably consistent team this season. Now their drop spot is down here, as you can see, to the southeast. Yes, my directions are correct. Skyland's kind of over this way, iDrop here, and then Scroll down here. And they really benefit from contested teams around them. And as you can see, Seaport City has two teams fighting. And as you noticed, I said Sky drops in this section here, and he's already rotating into this position. So at this point, this is still the first zone. This is like 80 seconds into him landing, looting, and then already rotating this far. And look at the loot he's managed to get already. So basically, he's already in position, like, what, 80 seconds into the game already to third party these two teams fighting here in Seaport. And then as you can see, the other two players, sorry, they're down here, iDrop and Scroll, are also going to end up rotating in. So he gets really early surge damage and the potential to get a few elims as well. Now they've all kind of caught up. iDrop ends up rotating all the way around. You can see he's kind of pinching to get another angle here, while Scroll and Sky are down below. Gets a super easy knock, and then I do think they managed to get the finish from this as well, and essentially completely wipe out the teams here in Seaport. Super aggressive, but a really nice way to get early surge. And also, because they managed to get like the fast harvesting wood brick, the loadouts they have right now are all like 80 builds, 67 builds, 86, tons of heals, good enough ammo. Sure, they don't have any metal or anything, but it doesn't really matter at this point in the game. And now if you look at the teams they're contesting, right, this guy's knocked. This guy's already dead from the fight that they're having. This guy's left as a solo with 16 builds. And the other team who is in here, who are they? Are they gone already? Are they fully gone? Or yeah, I think they're already dipped. So it's like, now not only do you get to loot this south area, like they don't only just get to loot this area, now they get to loot Seaport City on top of that, because those other teams won't have taken much since they've been fighting. Plus, they can get their metal, good positions. Like, it was absolutely set up for success for them. Also, very importantly, as iDrop and who else is doing it? Sky are going looting, grabbing all the metal, getting stacked up. Scroll's just camping the card, right? There's that one other player left. He's just sitting in a bunch of boxes here. Tons of, like, protection all the way around. Where all the cards are sitting underneath. So if that player does end up coming back, he can just get a free kill as well. And then also, because Sky built that surge tower earlier, he can basically just go up here, look for more damage, get more tags if need be as well. And as I said, that obviously just decided just to jump down, but still. Oh, here comes the other player. Pickaxes straight for it. Jumps in. Ooh, that was actually quite smart. So the other player, which I think is something really smart that a lot of people are missing out on, he doesn't end up dying here, was before he jumped into that fight, he threw a teleport down so he could escape. So let's see, he approaches, doesn't know, he starts pickaxing, sees them go through, goes for the fight, and just insta-taileys because he's thrown that TP earlier, which is really smart. This is something I hypothesized at the start of the season, but it's not actually something I've seen a lot of players do, is just throw those TPs ahead of time yet. Obviously, this wasn't iDrop doing it, but it was just something cool I noticed at the same time. On a very similar note, actually, you see Loki and Moan up here have ended up taking over this surge tower that we saw, and what they end up doing is just rotating underneath, and because it's theirs, obviously they can just edit it out. But at the same time, these guys have already thrown TPs down away, and they can just kind of TP away to make sure they don't lose the tower. But interestingly, they kind of chopped out their own surge tower here, basically. Now, essentially, because they had that early surge, they can kind of rotate a little deeper. They've gotten onto this nice little hill position here. Island's about to spawn. Now, this is the fourth zone's just popped. And this is a really nice spot. I've talked so much about zone priority, but this is what I would classify as a medium priority position. So essentially what that means is all the late rotators are going to get stuck along this edge here. And essentially for them, they're going to be able to position to sit and hold them. Now, there's going to be a few teams in front of them, which means that if the zone pulls south, they're going to have to wait for these teams to rotate, and the other teams are going to have to wait for them to rotate. So it's a kind of medium priority. If you're in low priority, you're stuck here, you got to wait for everyone. High priority, you're ahead of everyone. So they're medium priority position. And if you've watched my video on that, on my main channel, you'll know that medium priority positions are basically the best spot to get surge from. So really good spot for them already. Now, they could have also just been playing for the island spawn that's here. So in a lot of zones, you can kind of predict roughly where the island's going to pop. If you know there's like, can't remember how many spawns of it off the top of my head, like 6 or 7. Can't Can't remember. And if his zone's pulling south, it's almost guaranteed that it's going to spawn in this location. There's a few other ones. I think it's over on this side. Off the top of my head, they're not that great. So by positioning yourselves here on this hill just before it appears, like they have here, like the timing was really nice. That means when the island spawns, I think either they're going to get sucked up into it or they're going to have the priority to be the first players to be able to get up on island. And this season, island is really incredibly good for Surge because you've just basically got like 360-degree views all the way around you. So let's see, it seems like Scroll's sitting below it. There's a bit of server lag here, unfortunately. So Scroll's sitting below it. And they all just insta go up right on top of it, pretty much. Now you see from here, look at the positions they have. Like Scroll, Sky, going to be able to go over. And actually, they get into a fight straight away. That's really aggressive, just to try and push Pizovsky's off the edge here. Forcing them to box up. iDrop comes over. It's now a 3v2 fight. And the other two have dipped off. So now they've basically claimed island. They can fight the boss, which unfortunately does not show up in replay mode for some reason. It's kind of annoying. However, from this spot, there's like guaranteed free Surge. And as I said earlier, remember about the zone priority. Zone priority makes it even easier if you're on island, and you get to look at all these people who are getting stuck here on the edge as well. There we go. They're fighting the bosses invisible in replay mode. We love it. And of course, you can also refarm any mats outside of metal up here too. So had they wasted any brick, kind of like they built earlier, you can get a free refarm. So basically like the absolute god spot. I fully anticipate my post grand finals video is going to be massively about island this season. Now Surge pops up and they are 700 above. Now unfortunately they don't get the good zone pulls where, you know, they're gonna have to be able to stay up here for a zone or two, because sometimes you can just be lucky and this can still stay in like the 6th or 7th zone, so you basically just don't even have to move. But for them right now, 700 above Surge, absolutely chilling. Apparently Sky can walk on air is what it seems like. And how do they get down? That's one thing I was always wondering. So importantly there, they don't decide to just jump down into where everyone else is. They scout behind and then jump back because there's no one left behind them. Just give them safety to get down, because that's, again, one of the worst parts about being on island, is getting held there. Interestingly, one thing you may have noticed, probably not because I've been skipping through it so much, is that none of them are carrying masks. They're all carrying Typhoon Blades. So I really want to see how they play endgame. Probably free Elim. They're in congested side now when they're way above Surge and to get forced in on, so they get free refresh, which is kind of cool. I don't think that was intentional, but, you know, because they ended up being up on island, there's going to be a bunch of teams who are below Surge right on them, who've struggled, who are probably weak, and they get some free Elims there. I need to see if that was a trend. I highly doubt it. I just think they ended up there. Also, scrap everything I said about them taking Typhoon Blades. Maybe they just didn't find any, because all three of them now managed to have the mask. So obviously, on those refreshes that they got there, all those players that were in congested side, they obviously just took it from the bodies. So not so interesting anymore. All right, super early TP, kind of like everyone else does. Going straight into a bush is a really good idea. Now, because they got here so early, they're ahead of everyone else. They can pretty much just do whatever they want. Spray, get a bunch of kills on all the people on backside who are fighting. Nice free knock onto Panda. And then get a bunch of other Elims as well, which is both big Surge and obviously Elim points. Also, just having all three players set on the same angle spraying like this makes it incredibly difficult for any of these players to actually pressure back. Obviously, because they're already getting third party, they're getting fought by the other teams there. But just having all three players do the exact same thing, if you try to shoot them, 1, 2, or maybe even all three of them are going to start spraying you at the same time, which means that you're just not going to win that 50-50. You're almost definitely going to die. So it's something that's really hard to fight against. 8 zone pools. They basically instantly teleport, similar to the previous zone as well. And again, since they're one of the first ones there, it may take a little bit of damage. I was going to say it may take a little bit of damage, but they just end up straight in Pizovsky's box, getting a free Elim. You may take a bit of damage from teams shooting you in the back. However, you're not going to be held and sprayed like crazy by all of the teams who do it late, because everyone wants to go early. So yeah, sure, they may shoot you in the back, but they're not just going to keep spraying over and over and over again. So nice little rotate, got them into a good position, still like almost cap mats. I saw iDrop talk very highly about Sky's ability to do basically everything. Best aimer, best tarper, best everything, apparently, so he says. So I want to watch this endgame from his perspective and actually just see kind of what he's doing fully. There's not going to be a whole lot of fragging because he is just tarping for the most part. I think I've already watched this game and there was a lot of low ground, really nice claims, pre-teleports ahead of time and all this kind of stuff. So the first thing I'm noticing straight away is the fact that he obviously is the one tarping, but look how close Scroll and iDrop are. Like, they're basically on the same tile as he is, right at front side through pretty much this entire first moving. You know, they're not split looking for things differently. It's like all three of them are doing the same action. And usually one of the ways I talk about teams working together in trios is you have like your tarper, you have a support and a frag player, and your support player is kind of bouncing between one of the other, either helping the tarper or helping the fragger. But with these guys, they're all three of them pretty much just doing the exact same thing at the exact same time, which is really cool, especially when they're doing it so ahead of zone at the front side. Really nice pre-teleports here. Like, I guess they're preparing for like the worst zone possible, and they see front side is free, so they just teleport down immediately. Everyone else will be looking where the zone goes, so if you time that teleport pretty much when everyone else is waiting, then you can just get ahead of them completely. So they're, if they've opened up their map and they're like, where do we go, where do we teleport, you instantly teleport at that second, and it's really hard for them to shoot you because they're preoccupied. Really nice zone tank there. I think noticing that he was on a bit of a scuffed layer, there was a bunch of other teams basically able to cut him off, so he goes straight into Storm using the chug splashes he has, so he'll be able to heal up there. And again, all three of them on the exact same layer. And that's really nice there when Sky ends up holding the wall, and you can see that Eyedrop ends up taking over the tarp as well. So really good synergy between the two. I'm not gonna lie, I don't often see teams with this much synergy either. Also good layer. Notice there's people above him and below him there, so just went up one single layer to get onto a little bit more free one. Mats are looking pretty low now, so refresh is going to need to come in, I think. Another great low ground swap. Again, every time they're switching to low ground is on a layer, on a zone change, sorry. Now again, because they're all so close to each other, all three of them can just run in at the same time. As the other two are fighting, he's got a nice little tarp set up ahead. You can still keep going too. Mats are now starting to run low. They do really need to start getting a refresh now. So now's the point in time when they need to do something. And I love how, because obviously they're so low ground focused, they can just look up, right? They claim doubles on everything. Open up, spray out something, and then you've got a free knock onto above you. Like, especially because you're like playing front side like this, a lot of teams, especially when they're in like the center of zone, a lot of teams are going to just box right on their head when they teleport, or just where they end up there. So easy to drop them down is a really good position, which I really like. Kind of been scuffed a lot of time. Regardless though, like the fact that they're just so close together means anyone that tries to fight them, right? If you get someone who tries to, you know, pre-edit you on low ground, drop down, go for an angle, it's like all three of them are just looking at you at the exact same time. So really cool from them. This is very, very impressive, just in the fact that they're able to stay together for so long. And now all of a sudden you're into like final moving zone, and it's you versus a solo and what, a duo, I think, who all are looking pretty unhealthy. So again, all three of you stay together, don't die, then you're chilling. It sounds really funny, but like the main success of this trio in this game in particular was just them not dying. Like, stay close to each other. All three of you are doing the exact same thing. If you lose a single player, the strategy kind of falls apart, but because they're all just like acting as three heads of one Hydra, you can all bite at the same time, which is really cool. I'm going to show you a magic trick. I'm going to grow my hair back going into group number 2. All right, we're going to start this off with Queasy, Swizzy, and Murstache, who won game number 1. Now, interestingly, they've been contested pretty much for the entire season at Seaport City. And this was one of the first tournaments where they've actually been uncontested and don't have anyone to fight. Now, because of this, I accidentally just recorded all this with my mic muted, so I'm going to just give you a quick run through of what happened in this match. But essentially, uncon off spawn, and they essentially have a bunch of heals left over in this drop spot. And they got pinched by a bunch of teams, so they went back into Seaport, used those heals, now they're in Storm here. Whether it was intentional to play Storm this game, I'm not sure. Queasy does that a lot. It was kind of hard to tell just by looking at the actual match, though. But from here, they make a really nice rotate. So if you look in these kind of bottom left maps, bottom left zone, sorry, you'll see all of the stuff around Foxy is always a really rough position, because these two hills here are always taken by teams. Whether it's actually the Foxy Floodgate team that ends up like landing up here, kind of, I know Tayson's team does that, where they split one on each hill, or 2 on one hill, 1 on the other. But in this game in particular, you've got a team here and you've got 2 teams on this hill as well. So a really tough rotation. So really good pre-planning from Queasy, rather than kind of just white lining in as a lot of teams would and ending up in this congested side. Well, you can see the huge deep rotation they're making all the way to go straight down and around to avoid all of this, which is really nice. And it looks really good if you look at it from the above view here. If I zoom the camera out, so here with this view, you can kind of see the path that they ended up taking all the way around the storm and then all the way around these mountains too. So they kind of avoided all of the teams that are also situated on these hills there and actually managed to gate themselves one of the best positions on the map, which is up on top of this hill for this kind of zone, which was really, really nice. Earlier, all 3 of them had medkits. Swizzy has medkits. Murstache now has splashes only. He did have medkits earlier. And now Queasy also has medkits and splashes. And that's because of the campfire nerf that they put in this season. So this kind of strategy used to be way stronger because you could just go campfire to campfire, healing every single time. But now, if you're going to do something like this where you really want to play Storm for a long time, you have to have a huge amount of medkits. They're also committing their masks early here, as you just saw there from Queasy, where they're actually ensuring they use them now to kind of get out of those zones faster, which I am interested to see how many they end up saving for the late game. But true, also on top of that, they're still rotating through another POI in Storm, which is Mass Meadows. I'm guessing to try and find just leftover heals as much as possible, because what have they got? Like maybe another med kit for Swizzy. They could all kind of pop one here and then keep moving, but I don't think they actually managed to find anything. So there's actually a really interesting consequence that happened this game here, where you see they're really far away. This is the 5th zone, so Island over here has already been up for like an entire zone at this point. And as you notice, as I fly over here, there's not a single person on it. Now, Island is insanely good for Surge, because imagine if you sit on like one player on one island, so say one here, and one on the main island over here. You have like full 360-degree vision over the entire map of where anyone is rotating. So in terms of getting Storm Surge damage, it's insanely good. Now, ironically, it's interesting because this game you had these two teams here. So the team who actually claimed it was Brownie and Fuzzy and sorry, I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name if I click on them. And as you'll see if I play, they are 240 below Surge. So they actually went up, claimed Island, and then were horrifically below Surge because I think they've done like no damage. So they ended up dropping down here to try and fight this other team that's down below, Skies. These guys down here. And that actually ended up leaving Loot Island completely uncontested. It's called Demon's Arena or Demon's Fighting Cage. I don't know what it's called. It's some stupid name. I'm not calling it that. I'm still just going to call it Loot Island. But you'll see why that becomes very important in a second. From here, you can see Queasy got onto that large hill that we talked about earlier, and they were about to pad into Storm. I think this might have been a call from Swizzy here, but as you see, they basically rotated up onto this hill where the pad was. They both padded. Queasy padded down here first, I think to scout, because now this basically puts him fully on dead side. Like, what a beautiful position all the way down here when everyone else is away, all up at this side. But I think as Swizzy padded later there, because they seem to kind of stagger the rotates. Where is he? There he is, up in the sky. I think they spotted that Loot Island was entirely free here. I could be wrong there, but it did seem like that. So Swizzy and Mustache have now managed to claim the island, as we mentioned earlier, because these guys, oh, they're now dead, but because they ended up dropping off. So this gives them this crazy position, and if you watch this game, you'll know how insanely important this call was later. I want to see how Queasy gets across, though. So he's pulled zone. Reading zones like that is crazy. Okay. Does he just stay here? So this is kind of a crazy split, actually, because Queasy does not end up rotating all the way over. He's two teammates up on Island, and he's by himself all the way down here. But again, this is like full center of this zone. They've got a great RNG pool here. You know, if zone pulls, well, it's obviously going to pull. The vast majority of people are going to end up basically here on this edge. So if zone then pulls down this way or up onto this mountain, wink, wink, we'll see what happens there. Queasy is great priority to get over there. Same with, you know, Queasy and Mustache. They have the island. They can fly if they need to. They're able to fly up onto this. And also, a lot of these teams will probably try and rotate up and fly deeper onto this side of the hills as well, because it's obviously just like a massive part of this zone. So really good, interesting position. I don't know if Queasy intended to be this far split. I highly doubt it, because he doesn't really have a good way of getting back to them. And yeah, as you can see now, I think he's ended up rotating through Storm with those extra medkits he has. Just to go to the launch pad, just to go back to Island there, it would seem like. So, oh no, he's going to end up claiming this. That's really interesting. Okay, so rather than, I was wondering if he was going to pad across, but he's now claimed, rather than the full south point here, he's claimed the highest point on the map. That is a crazy map. Look at that. He's the only player on this entire side. His teammates are the other side of the zone, and so is everyone over here. So like, if zone now pulled here, Queasy has the god spot. He's got the best position on the entire zone. That's nuts. And of course it doesn't. It pulls back north. So because he has the pad there, you can just insta-pad, go back up onto Island, refarm any of the brick he had. And of course, like, if we skip, gonna take a zoom out here. Zone is in Island. They are on height. Everyone else is down below them. Like, they're already just in a position to win from here. Next zone is pulled, and they've already pre-marked it, as you can see. We've got two markers down here, one on the east, one on the south here. The two basically worst spots. East is here, like another hill. They want to be there early. And if it pulls this way, it pulls up this mountain. Of course you want to be there first, because look at the elevation for everyone else to have to start pulling up. So now it's started to pull up towards this horrific zone. And they've already marked it, and now they've also thrown a teleporter ahead of time to basically pre-TP there to ensure they're the first ones. So he's marked. You can see he's thrown ahead. Now, basically, once the zone opens up just slightly, just a little bit, you'll probably teleport inside of Storm, ensuring they've claimed that, and then again throw their teleport higher up, because zone's just going to continue to pull up and up and up. And the higher you can be in this position, essentially just the better for them. There's the teleport straight into Storm. Doesn't mind tanking Storm, because obviously he's got the Chug Splashes too. And now the position is just 10x better than anyone else. And of course, Queasy's main focus is just to keep going up and keep getting up into that good position. Because if you're one of the other teams in this lobby, look at this. Oh my god. Like, I think these guys did really well. I think Demas Pix did well this game, but like, look at what they have to traverse to get up here. But yeah, Queasy, Swizzy, and Moustache are just already way up above each other. So everyone's going to be clambering down below. I think I'll just fast forward this from this wide angle and just look at how easy Swizzy have it up on height. And look how difficult it is for everybody else. And I wonder how many people go down this rotate. There's 37 up at this point. I'll see how many die. So many people stuck down at the bottom of the hill. If you don't have a mask here, it's basically entirely wraps for you. Tons of people getting suffocated down there. And I think this... Oh, only one person died there. That's actually funny. Yeah, they get a really lucky zone pull for the rest of the lobby, though, as it actually pulls back. So for everyone who's stuck down here, like, imagine your Pinks team. Do they have any mats? Let's see. 9 builds. 10. They've got like 10 builds each, stuck at the bottom of the zone. Demas's team, same 20. I think they came like second or third this game as well. They did good regardless. They're in the like, top 3, I think. Imagine how difficult that would be if it kept pulling, but instead the zone ended up pulling backwards. So, and I think they just pre-tarp out on height like Queasy does here, and then I think similar pre-teleport back onto island, because obviously that is again where it's pulling. Notice how again they mark every single zone, so they always know where they're teleporting, they always pre-plan it. Something Queasy's really good at. Teleports are back up there, and honestly, like at this point, do you even have to worry about the rest of the game? Well, you do, yes, but we'll see once this zone closes how their materials are looking in comparison to everyone else, because I'm sure it's very different. Okay, so now that they're up on island, let's see the mats. So their mats are 125. So Queasy's only used 25 builds so far. 113 from Moustache and 115 from Swizzy. So all of them are above 113's the lowest basically they have in their team. Let's start skipping through other players. See if there's anyone with even 100. 50 was the highest. Who was that? 100. Yarko's doing good. Okay. Basically, Nako's team is good on mats. Pushing the wrong button. Let's see. Anyone else? Anyone else got 100? Couple in the 80s. Who was that there? Who was that? Yeah, someone had like 80 and 70. Frostroki, yeah. Frostroki had like 70, 80 there. So basically, there's like, what, one person in the lobby that has over 100 builds outside of these guys, just because of the way that they've played this already. Go back wide, and then it pulls up another hill, so good luck to those players down below. Same thing, Queasy pre-tarps up ahead. Now it's just basically stay on height, spray, don't lose it. Everyone else is getting suffocated down below. They're just staying up, staying up, staying up. Literally, I'm just fast forwarding through this because it's just, you know how the rest of this game goes from there. And now it's basically, let's see, at this point here, is it 3v3? It's 3v2. 3v2 at this point, right? All those players have struggled their lives out down below. Queasy still has 50 builds. Moustache has 60 and Swizzy has 50. So, like, they have more than capped mats on one person, whereas Nefreezy down below, 0 and 5 for Lusha. So, yeah. I mean, the game plan has been crazy. I think in this also, Moustache just BMs so bad here, if I remember correctly. Just no regard for them whatsoever. They all drop at this point to go for the final 2 kills. I'm pretty sure Moustache just stands still. No, he doesn't. Maybe it was... Oh, no, it was Swizzy. It was Swizzy. Let me watch. Hold on. Let me see. Yeah, I think it's Swizzy that BMs. He gets the first knock. I think he gets in the box and just stands... Yeah, he just stands still spraying. Like, that's such BM. That honestly is like the freest win of all time. They did get a good amount of RNG, but most importantly, they actually put themselves in good positions to then get the good RNG and then favor it. Like, had Moustache and Swizzy not gone onto island early, then they wouldn't have already been able to claim that because someone else could have just flown up and taken it. Had Queasy not gone onto the dead side, like way south while he was split there, you know, had the zones pulled slightly differently, he still could have taken advantage of the good zone pull there. So, honestly, this game looked a little bit too free from them. Let's jump into someone else. Cool, let's go another game. Another team that I really want to highlight from game number 2 was Starkus, who we're watching now, who seems to have a completely different IGN, and none of his socials are Starkus, which you'd think would be useful. And he played with Nefrizi and Lusha. Now, this guy's been on the come up for quite a while now. He's looking really, really good. And they dominated on consistency. Well, I say dominated. They actually didn't even win on consistency. They ended up coming second, which is funny enough. But I want to watch how they play because Starkus here's endgame. His fragging potential is crazy. He's such a good fighter. All right, let's see. Low ground playstyle to start with. He ends up getting, I think, 8 elims in this game, if I do remember correctly. I haven't been known to remember correctly. The memory is not all that great. I was going to say maybe some of these elims just come straight off the rip just because a bunch of people are lost. Oh my god, okay, a nice 3-piece. I would love to say that's like a really nice 3-piece, but Faki's trio looked absolutely lost. Entirely lost in the sauce there. I want to see what the hell happened. But good control from him, right? If I skip back forward to where he was there. All right, first they got the pre-piece. Not one of them is looking the right direction. What are these two doing, bro? Faki, come on, you're better than this. Everyone says you look like me. Have the brains like... Actually, don't have the brains like me. That's not a good idea. Okay, so he gets the first knock. I think great wall grab. This is a really nice piece from Starkus to recognize that was open. And then he's just accidentally boxed both of them in, which is really, really cool. You can see him try to get out. Blueprint edit. So basically pulled out his blueprint to edit that at the distance rather than editing this wall below him. Grabs an open wall. Faki ended up swinging, which kind of... I don't know about the immediate edit onto 2 players, because is his team helping? Yeah, his team are both looking, so that's fine. Like, really good synergy from them. Fair enough. And he gets 1 easy elim, and I think Nefrizi or Lusha was spraying at the same time. Great reset. Just to make sure Faki misses. Re-edits it on the bottom right. Faki's sitting lost. Dead. Really nice. That was actually really nice. You know... they obviously look lost to sauce, but like 3 elims like that for the team, that just sets you up with such a good like mats, because obviously you get a bunch of shit from killing them there. But also they've got 8 elims as a team already. I was gonna say maybe didn't actually get that many mats because I guess they were just like, that's probably just Siphon, but still, how would they say up? 91, 70, 60, still pretty good. All right, they do seem a little split already. They basically had to mask. Yeah, they ended up masking and getting completely split from each other, and Freezy seems to be the one tarping ahead. No whites on this team. Yeah, they all just carrying fish. They did fish a lot earlier, and one of the biggest issues with fish, as you can see, is that if you try to tank Storm a little bit in endgame, you are immediately going to struggle because, again, 20 HP, 50 HP, 50, and they have nothing to heal. Now, the good thing is they're a fragging team, so, you know, as soon as they get like an elim or 2, they'll get the Siphon, which will put it back up. But it's not something I would necessarily rely on myself. Great spot from Starkus to see that Akira went down back zone, and these guys are struggling. He's constantly scouting, constantly looking around, which is obviously... If you're a player who's fragging, you basically have to be consistently looking around, trying to go for opportunities. If you're not, you're going to struggle. Nice wall hold, too. You see how he was ended up holding the wall as I think Lusha was spraying there. Instant edit. Kind of like a, you know, an on-the-fly way where you can just do a pre-edit really quickly. I actually don't see many teams do that, to be honest with you. It's something that's super simple, and it's not a big brain play by any means, but actually executing it is completely different. And Freezy's doing a really good job actually setting up tarps and stuff like this. A lot of the times we give the fraggers a lot of credit because they're popping off, but for the most part, you've also got to look at how their tarpers are actually setting them up and putting them into position. So, and there's what I said about the Siphon coming in. We can see his white HP came up, just obviously because he got that 1 refresh. Nice airplane strat there, again, from Nefrizi, covering a bunch of area. Gives him a lot more space to then box fight from on low ground. Look at the angles that he's taking this wall from as well. Look at where he's standing here, right in the middle. You can always swing back and reset this wall if need be. He's not like overextending and getting really close and right up into it. He's keeping his distance box fighting so he can always kind of make his way back if need be. Bar zone pull, not too many mats on everyone. Good job on him taking over. Maybe he's not the best tarper. Fish drop. Ooh, bit of a risky thing just to drop straight down. I don't know if they had any builds. I don't think I have any builds, so I guess they just drop down and go for some shots. Let's see the angles he plays. This movement is really nice. This is something I was speaking to Veno about when we did our 1v1, was like the sprint sliding movement is so hard to hit. So you just sprint, slide. I think he does it again around a corner here. Yeah, you can see him kind of trying to do it. It doesn't actually make a difference in this particular fight, but that muscle memory is really useful. Especially even when you're doing tarping and things like that, because you can maintain your sprinting speed as you're sliding then. So, and obviously you can't build while you're sprinting, but you can build while you're sliding. There's the wall. Again, really nice angles, how he's like always still slightly hugging behind the left. Unfortunately, didn't get the shot onto Titan there. Beautiful peek again. Wiping out another one. And I think he's a little greedy here. Yeah, a little greedy, just jumping straight out. But good elevation change to get up. Keep away. And then I want to see how he finishes things off. Jumps out and just dies. I mean, it looks like a bad death, but there's a full trio on height spraying, so there's not really a huge amount else you can do there rather than just maybe opening your box. But he's basically being looked at by all 4 players. Super sick player, 7 elims alone by himself in that game. Really impressive. I want to see how these guys do in Grands, though, because this is Starkus' first Grands. So, yeah, that'll be exciting. And the final team I want to look at is Darm, Pix, and Demus. Now, there was some controversy. Country war, maybe we should say, over the weekend between these guys who we're going to be watching, who are Polish, and the M8 boys, who are French. Now, there was some controversy surrounding this because this is the drop that Camiseti and Chari land at in Grand Finals, who are, if you don't know, also Polish. And it seems strange, definitely, that we have more Polish people contesting them. So essentially the theory here is they're trying to beat them off spawn, make these guys not qualify. By the way, they did not qualify. So that then come Grand Finals, Camiseti and Chari have this uncontested to themselves. That's the theory. That's what people are saying. Whether that's true or not, I am not entirely sure. But what I do know is that Demus, Darm, and Pix absolutely obliterated these guys off spawn. There was only a single game where these guys managed to get off spawn, and they didn't win the spawn fight. I'm not actually sure what happened. It was game number 2. I can't quite remember. But in my eyes, this seems like a 5-0 off spawn. 4-0 if you count the game where they disengage instead. But yeah, there's a lot of tension currently between the French and the Polish players. Not really players. Well, no, the players. I say tension. It's basically everyone versus France. It's not really Poland. It just seems like everyone versus the French teams. I'm not gonna lie. But that drama outside of, these guys were incredibly impressive. So they actually won this game that we're about to watch with 17 elims. Now, in their defense, they were already qualified through consistency, so they were just chilling this game. They didn't really need to do anything, and I think they just W-keyed, went for the win, and basically kind of just went crazy because there was no pressure on them at all. They could literally do anything they wanted this game, since, again, as I mentioned, they already qualified. But they decided to drop 17 elims, highest of the day. I think I was going to say outside of Queasy's team, I think they were the most impressive on the day, regardless, definitely. But it was, of course, impressive that Queasy won the first game immediately and then qualified through. Had we seen more games from Queasy, their team could have been more impressive potentially. But I definitely think Darm, Pix, and Demus were the most impressive. Just pure dominance on the day. Alright, let's see the spawn fight, how it plays out. Any of them got shotguns? Barely. Like, Demus has got a shotgun. Darm has a little. I want to see how they end up playing the fight out themselves. Little ratty. All of these fights usually are. Kind of crouching, staying around, peeking out windows. Using the windows to their advantage really nicely here. And I like the tarp across to the other building there to give themselves a little bit extra space. What's that look like from a wide right now? So Akira, X-Squeeze, and Potasai doing a really good job creating a nice pinch all the way around. Everyone's like, all of these fights are always just insanely ratty. I want to see who makes the mistake though. Okay, Akira jumps over. Pushing into Darm. Okay, see, it seems like so far, the pressure is really good. The pressure is really good so far from everyone. But it seems like Pix. Pix has done a good job sneaking up behind. Get some shots onto X-Squeeze. Now they have the HP advantage. And that pushes him back into X-Squeeze. Into Darm, sorry. So already now down to 2v1. Demus is only with a shotgun. In the box. Now it's a 1v3. And Akira's dead as well. Honestly, not like a crazy impressive nuts fight, but off-spawn fights aren't usually. And I mean, by game 5, you've got to be frustrated if you're the French team. That's you're basically almost guaranteed not qualify. There is still a chance in last chance major. Played that nice and slow. Played it a little ratty. That's kind of where you got to play off-spawn fights, drawing the other players away and into you so you can flank round. Super nice, but yeah, they've got more impressive things to come. One of the things I think is impressive about this game is how early it rotated. Like, this is the first zone. Look at the loot they have. Almost nothing. It's not almost nothing, but it's like, it's not too hot, is it? Not great from Demus either. 40 builds, 27 builds. Like, the shotguns aren't even good. 2 masks, which is okay. A couple heals. They basically grab a couple heals and go. And then it seems like they loot as they rotate here. I would imagine they're also on their way to try and find metal. Maybe over in Pumped, where they usually drop. I'm not entirely sure. But, the fact that they're out that POI so early is smart, because so many people might third party in knowing that fight was contested. It doesn't necessarily happen this game, but you can see the speed that they're just moving all the way around the map and just slowly gaining loot as they go. Now, up to 110 builds, 89, 72, good ammo. Still not got... Oh yeah, they got a triple mask as well with some more heals. So the kind of strat, if you rotate early enough, you can grab a bunch of the extra loot that's lying around in a lot of these areas, because a lot of it's just like chests that are just untouched, right? Like, and if you're early, you can be the first one to get it, because then the other teams would be the ones who would rotate past instead. So cool strat for them. I really like that. The early rotates do a lot, and also gives you better positions for Surge too. Pump power, by the way, one of the worst spots to fight off spawn of all time. It's got like no loot. It's awful. So but it has great metal. So for them going Lost Lake and looting all the way over here to come back to grab metal is actually kind of smart. Like, I know a lot of people are hating on them for landing Lost Lake and fighting the Frenchies, but now they've got great loot. They're really good at fighting off spawn, and they can come back and get metal anyway. You do get into a little tuffle, that word, I don't know, with Pink's team, but they end up disengaging from this, so it doesn't really matter. Had some technical difficulties, aka I crashed twice, and it was quite annoying. But basically what they ended up doing was rotating from Lost Lake through Magic Mosses to Pumped, got into a fight with Pink, ended up having to dip, and then have kind of come back and around this way through the next zone. So being up in like this position here is so good. Kind of similar to the Queasy example, where of course there's almost free access this entire side of the zone because of the way that the zone was pulled there. So great positioning from them. They've already got a lot of Surge early on through both trading in the Pink fight and then obviously fighting off spawn against Akira as well. So they don't really need to worry about being in a super congested area, so just sitting up north is a really good spot for them. And then the fact that they pull the zone here, godly. And I think that should allow them to get super deep in. If they kind of sit around this spot, around here, like if I see them up here, here, that's so good. This is an interesting spot to claim. I guess because if these teams start rotating around, you can hold them this way. Is that what Pink's doing? Let me have a look. So yeah, from this position, one of them, I don't know if Darm's going to, but you can look and kind of hold people from stock coming this direction. Yemas and Picks are over here, where they can just basically do anything to prevent people getting close to them. And what that means is if they have to pull over to this side, they can just rotate that way. But they do pull a good zone, so they're still in zone here. I wonder if they're actually going to stay. Let's have a look. All right, zone popped. Max distance for them. A really nice awareness just to go north. Right? Just to basically TP across, rather than obviously everyone's down there on the south side. So closer to dead side. Literally no one's here, because the team that was here, I think it was Pink's team. Demon's also has like no metal. So this whole game, they pretty much played on 0 metal so far. Which is lucky that they haven't been crazily W-keyed. But good use of the chili splashes there. We just saw them use a chili splash before they rotate. I don't think I have any left. Not really seen much use of that already so far though. But I guess for full trio rotates like this, the extra speed you get from it for like, is it like 40 seconds or something like that? Allows you to make those rotates so much easier. Even though they have masks, you don't need to use it on every single rotate. Seems like they're getting W-keyed, I think, for a team that needs Surge, I would imagine. I don't know what that guy is doing. What are these? Come on, Culb. Boys. We can't be running around like headless chickens like this. So I don't know what happened server lag-wise. They got a free refresh. I'm not sure what happened there, because those guys look lost, and then also they managed to... I don't know, server lag made me miss the rest of it, unfortunately. 10 seconds before the zone goes. They're all in the same box, healing up, prepping. No scouting, which is kind of interesting. You'd think you would have probably spent a bit of time scouting here. Max distance for them. Immediate, again, great awareness of dead side. Teleporting down to the south, and they can probably teleport in the same way again. It's literally just the freest rotate. They just get to walk all the way in. Get a good layer established. Don't commit too much, but great position for them already. And they get 70. They've got... 6 elims, so to get 11 more elims from this point. That is nuts. All right, interesting. Going for height. Not a team I think I've really ever seen go for height. I haven't watched them that much, though, so I can't say that they're not a height team, though. Oh, yeah, they get fought for height here. Emma's getting put in the piece. Good layer changes. Really difficult to fight for height, or for anyone to track you, sorry, if you're fighting for height and you just drop. Someone got an elim onto Faded there. Good pressure. I love the fact that he's 65 HP and still has no fear. Like, still applying pressure, being safe, taking good angles. You know, what's interesting is, I don't know, they don't hold height particularly high. You know, maybe it's just because they're W-keying a lot, but most teams would be significantly higher up than this. Maybe it's because maybe they don't have enough metal, maybe they don't want to get chopped. But obviously, this is the final game of the Heat, and if you win the game, you qualify to Grands. And a lot of teams at this position would just be psychoing up onto height using the masks. And them being this low means that almost anyone can get up from this height. Yeah, like anyone could just throw their way up onto height from here. So I don't know if they're just inviting that. Maybe they're not that comfortable in height. Maybe they're on the mats. I'm not entirely sure, but this seems a little low to me, in all honesty. Maybe I'm just a drone. That could be true too. I think Demis falls accidentally there. Catch me. Oh, he misses. Okay. Nice shot. Nice shot again. He's trying to get back up desperately. Struggling. Sure, the server lag will help. That's like the third one he's failed. He's still not up yet. Now a team's landing on height. Good time to finally get the mask correct. Siphon, he drops. Okay, he pulls himself in. Darm's down. It's another duo. Get some match from that Elim at least. Couple sprays. Looks like Pix has managed to tarp him in, which is nice. Heals the boy up. This is where I think the Invis coin guy is just like in his face and he just somehow spots him. Oh. Kind of just like panicking. Does seem like a bit of panic, doesn't it? Chapsy dead. Or Clapsy, I'm sorry. Now it's just a 2v2. You know what's funny? Obviously this was like a 17 Elim win, but there was nothing super impressive about it. A lot of it is just like holding height, spraying everyone who's weak down below. And obviously some good fundamentals here to finish everything out. Ooh. And of course there's server lag to end the game where he missed the actual shot. So honestly, like they were super consistent and that actually kind of shows in their playstyle. There's nothing flashy. They just had incredibly good fundamentals basically all the way through. Next game will be from tomorrow from group number 3, so I'll just look different then. Alright, on to group number 3. Yes, my hair fell off again. I can't not look at Vino, Vico, and Flixi. Like, look at this match history. Obviously, once you win a game, you qualify to Grands, so essentially that's why they didn't play like game 4 or 5. 15 Elims, 11 Elims, 14 Elims, second, third, first. Unreal. Let's watch the win. Alright, in this team, Vico and Vino usually get a lot of the praise, but in this game in particular, Flixi absolutely fragged out, so it's one of the things I want to look at. Mid-ground to start with, they basically almost always go for a really nice height retake using the Invis coin. And I think in the previous game, if I remember correctly, Vico had it, and now Vino has it in this game, as you can see him running around. So I think they kind of like flank height. They basically get frontside spray out, flank height in the 10 zone or something like that, if I remember correctly. Let's see what ends up happening here. Yep, double spray from the backside from Flixi. Vino's already at the front. Gets a knock onto height. That's basically just absolutely free to take it immediately. Like, yeah, height's gone and you can just retake from there. Super nice, super nice. It's a super basic, just spray out of height. It's just most teams are still insanely bad at defending against it. So up on height already, Flixi has 4 Elims, Vico is 2, Vino up on 1. So previous to this, they already had 7 Elims. Well, 6 if you don't count the fact that Flixi just sprayed out on height. And a lot of it from here is the game's already won, right? You know, if you manage to have a good mid game, you get to end game with good mats, you can get on height in like second, first moving zone. And if you have enough ammo, like the difficult part's already done by then, you know? Kind of learned that a lot from watching, say, like Peterbot play last year. So I want to see how Flixi goes crazy on the teams down below. Because what's interesting is, I'll just zoom out on the camera here. You know, most teams you see, I was gonna say most teams you see, there's like a obviously height tarp and they're just spraying. But these guys, all 3 of them are just dropping down and fragging. Like Vino's in the storm, Vico's here, Flixi's also on this side. Like anyone who gets close to them, they're just literally keying them. Now I don't know if this is like the strategy they will use in Grands, or if they'll be a little bit more conservative. But honestly, this strat with the new Siphon is so good because you can like pick into the back of people's tarps, get really free refreshes and kills that way. You don't really need a full like height hold. And if you're fighting the teams who are on second height already, like say if you're dropping down to the team who's second height, they're the guys who'll take height from you. So rather than just spraying them, you can like get onto their walls, pickaxe and fight them. Again, I don't know if this is a strategy they would necessarily use in Grand Finals. Interested to see, and we will see this weekend. But in this level of game where they're just so confident, it's just so funny to me that all 3 of them can just drop down and individually fight trios to try and win games. Of course, that allows them to frag out so much. As I've been talking here, I've been watching Flixi, man. He's done nothing. Like, let me see what Vino's doing, or Vico's doing during this whole time, because he's up to like 5 Elims now during that waffle that I was going through on the strategy that they were using. So let's see. He's up on height, spraying. For some reason, there's no game audio. Okay. This is before they decide to drop. Right, that's a knock from Vico in the backside. His aim is, I mean, all three of these guys, AR aim is absolutely nuts. Vico's shotgun aim is also just disgusting, as he had a really nice clutch in the first game, I think. Okay, down to extra mats. I guess that's also a difference. Like, if you're dropping down and fighting so close to people, like, you're just getting refreshes in terms of mats left, right, and center. Nice little cut off below with the low edited wall. Now, that's so interesting. They're just basically cutting off everyone in front of them, just forcing them to run into these awkward areas, and just wiping them out so easily. Another kill there. So that's, Jesus, like 5. Let's see what Vino's doing at this point. He's got the Invis coin. He frags out too. Running on top of the boxes. Blocks his back. Try to cut off some of these other players. Been slightly ahead. It's more like Zone Wars than it is like a traditional endgame, to be honest with you, which is really cool. Right, there you go. Cut off a bunch of layers at the front. Players are going to be scared to run into that. Drops down to low. Surely this is not how they're going to play in Grands. Surely they must just be having fun. Like, let's W key. Let's get a bunch of kills. Like, if this is how they play in Grands, this is going to be crazy. Because how do you fight against this? I mean, you just need a really, really solid height team who can retake it from them. Or one of them needs to milk, which kind of did happen a few times during this tournament, where one of them ended up dying. Going for the knock for Siphon, but that was not his... Well, the body, but that wasn't his knock, so he wasn't able to get the Siphon from that. Down on Shakos, it also wasn't him. Like, the aggression here is crazy. Like, this is not something that you... I don't know if I've ever seen a team be this aggressive. Of course, it was duos before, so you could say Peterbot and Poyo. You always saw Peterbot drop down, frag out, go insane. But this is like that on steroids, where you have all 3 members of the team, rather than one like dropping down and trying to frag from really early on in the game as well. Vino milks. They almost got 1v3'd here by Mumsy, which is kind of funny, but they ended up winning the game. Sick. I imagine the reason I'm not going so much into these teams is I'm sure I'll break down their strategy a lot more post grand finals. Yeah, you may be able to predict that I'm saying they're going to win grands. And you can't have an FNCS VOD review without Cammy, Seti, and Chari. I know the French in you out there, not that I don't think there's many French people watching my content, are shaking with anger the fact that I'm going to be VOD reviewing these guys and not looking at anyone French in this video. Lost Lake, uncontested. So we'll see how they end up actually playing. They always have really good mid games, really good strats. So let's see what we got. Kind of similar to our other Polish team that we saw, Demis and whatnot. Loots quick and then gets out of there. As we saw from the previous game of Vino's, obviously they ended up dying at this gas station when they go and harvest here for metal. So I wonder if they're more careful about it. I mean, they were really careful anyway this time, right? The angles of which they're blocking, say like Cammy's not blocking these angles at all, which you think there'd be people that shoot them from there. So it's almost like they're just predicting that Vino's team, who was third-partying from this side before, I was going to say are going to do it again, but they're not in this game because they qualified in the previous game that we're mentioning. Basically, they've probably been shot a bunch from these 2 different angles, and now they've decided, we should probably stop that, and they're not wasting mats blocking the other side. It's interesting, they're really not afraid to use their masks in the early mid game. So like as soon as a 3rd, 4th zone pops here, as it kind of has, they mask super early to try and get much deeper, right? Because they were like up in this zone up here and they're already way further down, which again, as I kind of mentioned in some of those earlier games, is a better priority zone. All the games I'm looking at just gonna be south zones. It seems like that might be the case. I can't remember, but a lot of these have been south zones. All right, fishing strats now. Probably, is this the first time I've spoken about this? In this video, I mean, I've talked about it in every other video. Every other piece of content you could possibly imagine this season comes down to just fishing and surge trading. But are they getting any damage here? Our Chari has a little tower to go for some tags. Seti's down there. Cammy's fishing. So yeah, just continually recharging any of the heals they need. While if these 2 get damaged, basically any of the fish that Cammy gets will be able to heal them back up. So they don't waste any resources here, which will be cool. Pool center 5th. Very lucky zone pool. Kind of similar now. They can just stay here. I'm sure Cammy can get like millions of fish at the bottom, whilst Chari and Seti can just trade surge. You know, with all these teams who are up on island, for example, like these guys are all going to be looking for damage. Seti can just kind of trade back and forth with both of them, or everyone if everyone in the lobby decides to shoot at him here. And then again, drops down to Cammy. Hey boy, I need some fish. Thank you very much. Heals up, go backs, repeats. Super easy way to stay above surge. Pretty much all the time without needing to fight. Or wasting really anything. Max distance 6 zone, so again, very similar. As soon as zone pops, they instantly go. All 3 of them pretty much like right on top of each other as well, which is Very good coordination. They're all clearly pre-planning. Zones come in, prep for the rotate. As soon as it pops, we go. If other weaker teams in here are spending time going, zone pulled over here, what do we do now? That's just time wasted. And in that time, like Seti, Cami, and Chari have already rotated. They're ahead of you. They can hold you if need be. So speed is everything. I also really like this. What they've just done here is once the 6th zone is popped, Seti's gone ahead here and he's masked himself into the zone. Whereas at the same time, Chari and Cami have stayed further back. I don't know what's happening with this blur all of a sudden. Whereas Cami and Chari are just sitting further back looking for more surge. So you've kind of got a nice little split here where Seti's given and then confirmed their position in zone, and these two are just staying back looking for more tags. Now the position they've gotten to on the first partial, or the 7th zone, sorry, so the second partial is really nice. Edge zone, again, this is something I've talked about a lot of times. Center of zone is here. What a bad circle that was. Close enough, it's more like here. So by positioning yourself on the corner here, you hold all of these players and you prevent them from going dead side. So that basically gives you the opportunity to go here. And these guys, iFrozen, these guys, that team artist is up on island. So basically, if the zone pulls max, they almost guarantee have like a free rotation all the way down there. What a beautiful drawing. And what do you know? Zone pulls max south. They insta rotate, staying on that same side on the dead side. As you can see, let me just do a wee camera here. Fly away. Boom. Look at the freeness of this rotate here. Everyone else is stuck here in the middle. They've gone over the heads of everyone, staying all the way over to the dead side. They can just pretty much chill here, do whatever they want. All right, let's watch it. It's always art when we get to see a Seti tarp in game. If you ever want to watch anyone to learn how to tarp good in endgame, it's Seti. It's always going to be Seti. And this is something I've never in my life seen Cami and Seti do, and that is pre-edit plays. Now, this is something that's relatively common for most super aggressive teams, but Cami, Seti, Chari are not super aggressive teams. So going into first moving, going for a pre-edit play and instantly getting refreshes like that is almost the best time you can do it. If you get a good refresh at the start of moving zones, you basically have enough mats to almost play out until, say, like top 3, top 4, top 5. Assuming you kill someone who obviously has relatively good mats. You don't waste too many at the same time. So the timing of that refresh was so good there. I don't know if that was intentional. We'll see if it's a trend that they always do, going into like 9th zone, looking for a refresh then to get them stacked or not. We'll see if that becomes a trend going forward in grand finals or not, but something super nice. Again, always one of the first people to tarp, right? Little pre-tarp ahead of time, kind of similar to the way Vino's doing it. Now they just triple spray out height, edit out the roof so they can go for sprays, get a bunch of damage. Ref's guards team on height now, already weak. So whether or not they actually take height from that retake or not is kind of irrelevant. It's more the fact that they've just griefed them on height, weakened them, and wasted a bunch of their mats. Also really like the way they went for the height retake there, where Seti stayed down below. Chari and Cami ended up cranking up for height, and then he ended up teleporting up way above their head while still be distracted build fighting, which is super nice again. So now they've claimed height. Really smart retake using all 3 members. One of the best things to see about almost all of the best teams now is that they have kind of structured height retakes, like planned height retakes, plays they can make. I tarp ahead, you two stay back, we spray out, tons of angles to look from, height chops, 2 go up, Seti then TPs on their head. Now, I don't know, again, is that something they do every game? Is that a set play, or is that something that's more improvised in the moment? It's hard to say, but really, really nice way of taking height regardless. And now, how many builds do they have? 36, 6, 29. So in the 11th zone, is that enough to keep you going? They're probably going to need a refresh unless they get a zone pullback that's really lucky. And as you can see, I think they know that. So they drop down, get to a closer layer. Now you're not super, super high up. And from this point of view, you can already go for a retake. Usually everyone at this point down below, if they look up and see height is all in wood, they're going to fully spray you out. However, I don't know how many full trios are still left alive. And if you're like a duo or a solo, chances are you're probably not going to look up and try and spray height, especially if there's 3 people already sitting looking back at you, trying to spray you. So I don't think there's many full trios left, quite frankly, to actually look to spray them out. And here, nice connection. Moneymaker gets up ahead. He's blocked that angle really well to make sure they can't end up cranking up from the front side or using any masks. So if that was, I thought it was someone trying to steal it there, but no, it's just Cami going up. Elevate themselves even higher now. I guess they didn't really need to drop and actually get a refresh because of that timed refresh that they got earlier. And I guess the height retake didn't waste too many of their mats either, right? Because when they ended up going up for it, they didn't... Ooh, I was going to say they didn't really end up doing much. What is going on here? Excuse me? What is happening? What is this? I don't know what this final 3v3 is turned into. But the height gets chopped. Gudenbra dead. Okay. A bit of a strange ending there to the whole thing. Anyway, super hyped for FNCS Grand Finals, which is going to be this weekend. Later on in the week, I'm going to do a predictions video. I'm going to go through all the map, give some analysis about who's going to fight where, who the big heavy hitters are, but hopefully learn a bunch from this video about some of the bigger teams and their current playstyles. Like, subscribe, peace.